Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Infrastructure Services Committee this morning. Welcome the Mayor and fellow councillors, council staff, the media and any general public. I'll call for any apologies. I think everybody's present. Extraordinary business. Declarations of interest. Minutes of our last Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 12th of March, which was quite a long time ago. Anybody got any changes? The world has changed a lot since then. If not, somebody like to move those. Thank you, Diane.
I'm happy to move. We received those minutes.
Seconded. The Mayor. Thank you. All in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Item number 5, District Speed Limit Review. Welcome, Martin and Brian. We listened to 257, we had 257 written submissions and quite a number of people came in and orally spoke to us. We spent the rest of the day on a workshop, and this is the result. There were one or two small variations to what was actually decided at the workshop. So those of you that have read it carefully, if you've got any questions to Brian and Martin. Perhaps Brian, could you or Martin just say where you've made slight variations?
So we can start with Ashburn. There hasn't been any changes for Ashburn West, but there's a significant change for Ashburn East. So we changed for Morris, Murdoch and Company Road to 80 instead of 60. And we left majority of for example, Seafield, Smithfield, and also a portion of Company Road, Tate Road, and North Park will remain at 70, as indicated in the derivation. And pretty much small changes is, like Gordon Road, Malcolm McDowell Avenue will kind of be reduced to 50 to align with Braemars. Albert Street will be reduced to 60 instead of 50. So the reason why I kind of lift that up a bit, since this will be part of the school zone area, so they'll be kind of separate. There's no changes for the business estate and Fairton. For Tim Ward, Graham's Road, there was the request to extend it up to Gartarton, and we believe that it will be too slow for the full length, so for 60, so we propose to reduce the area to 80 instead for that stretch of road. Other than that, Tim Ward's still the same.
Yep. Just hold it, Martin. Mr. Mayor's got a question.
Just Martin, on Albert Street, is looking at suggesting 60 kilometres. What about outside the school?
So they'll be under the school zone speed limit review.
It'll override that.
Yeah, there'll be a separate one.
Thank you.
Questions, Joe?
Councillor Rawlinson.
Thank you. Martin, thank you. I just want to clarify with Graham's Road that we've now extended, we've gone back to 80 k's, but we've extended it down to Grove Farm Road.
It's not a Grove Farm, it's Gartarton.
Oh, well, on here you've got that it's recommended 80 k's to Grove Farm Road in the report that we received.
I think Martin was looking on the map.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking on the map. Sorry.
which I thought was a good option, Grove Farm, because it will hopefully satisfy the people who wanted it extended a little further out.
Okay, so, yeah. So it should be Gartartan. It shouldn't be Grove Farm. I think there was a mistake in, I'm not sure which part of the report.
Supplementary, I would have thought that Grove Farm Road would have been a better option, and it would help satisfy the people who live right down there that have the speedsters when they're trying to get out in and out of their properties. But the report we received did say recommended 80 k's to Grove Farm Road, which I thought was good.
Mr. Firth?
Yeah, we've looked at both the Grove Farm and the Gartartan, or to taking it out to 241, which was what the submission came in at. If you're coming from the east in, there's nothing really that would indicate that you should slow down, all right? And we feel that once you start to get into the built-up area, it's really to the west of Gartartan Road as opposed to the west of Grove Farm. So we feel that the best option is to do it from Gartartan at this stage.
I can see your point, but I disagree, I'm afraid.
Any further Councillor Lovett?
I was just going to say I support where we've gone to on here on the map, because really there is no houses past that point and only a few, and people are just going to speed anyway. Yeah, I think we've got it right here.
Cool. Oh, just
Carry on, Martin.
So,
if you look, as the council look at the maps, it's easier to see exactly what he's explaining.
it's easier to visualize the whole area. So right now I'm looking at the Lake Hood
The
area.
next map would be Lake Hood.
Yep. So we are during the duration we hear the submissions that people want Lake Hood Drive to be reduced to 16 sit. So we have done that. So it's right now from 100, from 70 to 60. And also Huntington, there was a request to reduce it to 60 instead of 50. So we agree with that as well.
Martin, if you could perhaps speak up a bit louder. People that are listening to this over the...
Yeah, sorry.
Won't be able to hear you, what you're saying.
Yep. So for Lakewood, we just changed Lakewood Drive and Huntington Avenue to be 60. For Methven, we have extended Barker's Road up and past homes. So the reason why we did that is to kind of the development next to it is have been developing quite rapidly. So we thought that maybe extend it a bit further will be a bit more appropriate. Other than that, there haven't been any changes. During the duration, we did agree on all the subdivisions will be reduced to 40 instead of 30. There's no changes for Rolleston, except for the 30 speed limit to be 40. Same for Rakai, there's no change. For Mount Somers, there was the request for Ashford and Gorge for the whole section to be 50, and then also there was a request to extend the 50 pass to the water station. So we have included into this review. Same for Hoods Road, we have reduced it to 50 based on their request.
Councillor Lovett, you got a question?
I just got a question around Mount Somers and Mayfield. Should we not be standardising the speeds through these three villages so people actually know, everyone's, they're all, seems to be all over the show, and I thought the object is really to try and have all our villages kind of at a standard speed. And I'm just looking, here at Mount Somers, you know, the length of that road going through, should we up that one, you know, a bit further? It's 50 is too slow, even if you went up to 60.
On which road are you talking about? Gorge Road?
The Gorge Road. Because there's a school in there, and that, if we change the school signs speed down, that would bring that stretch down anyway through there.
If you switch off if you're finished.
Oh, sorry.
Mr Mayor?
No, I agree with the, for Mount Somers, for the blue lines that are on the map, they're now at 50 kilometres an hour. We went through the submission process and we heard from them, the lady from Mount Somers, but it did open up some debate about Pattons Road at Mount Somers, and I see in the report that you're going to do some more work on that, on the ARG, Ashburton, Rundle, whatever that road is, the ARG road. Yeah, no, the scenic road, 72, is it?
Yeah.
70, that's the one, yeah, yeah. We thought about dropping the speed limit there, but hadn't been submitted on, hadn't been discussed in the document, but we're going to go back and revisit it, I think, and talking to the Mount Somers residents. Is that correct, about what to do there? Pattons Road, etc.?
There's two issues involved here. It's improvement to the road network, or whether it's a speed limit situation. We're dealing with the speed limits at this particular point in time, but yes, we will be going back to the community to look at some of their other concerns, which are basically turning from the Arundel-Rakaia Gorge into the village area. My personal view of the 50, I think, is wrong, because it doesn't match with what we've got through on the outskirts of Ashburton, on the going through Mayfield, and etc. And I think it should be set at 60. That's my own personal view. So it's up to the council. At this point, we're just showing what the submissions indicated and where it goes from there.
Thank you. Further comment? Next one. Next.
Yep, I'll carry through. There's no changes for Mayfield, and Moreland Bridge will be proposing to reduce the section to be 80 instead of 60. And also the last one will be just the rural area up in the lakes. We are proposing to reduce the sealed section of the road on the lake camp to be 40 for the full length, up to where the new threshold will be, and that's the only change. That's for the rural area, and there's no more.
I'd just like councillors to go back to Lauriston. That's pretty slow, 60k, and we're going to do work on that road to upgrade the road. 60 is really an urban speed, and there's not a lot of urban housing there, but we must have made that decision. I think Mr. Firth's of the opinion it could be. Councillor Cameron?
I'm just looking at the map, the gauge underneath. It's only about, it's not even 1 kilometre. If I use my finger method, so it's not very far.
Mr. Firth, you got an opinion?
Yeah, my own personal opinion on this one is that it should be 80 through there. Once we've done the realignment of Lion Road and at that intersection with Lauriston Bar Hill, I feel that leaving the village itself at 40, but the through road should, I think, be at 80. But that's my personal opinion.
Councillor Lovett?
I'll support that as well. I think it should be 80 when we get the road aligned in a straight line through.
Mr. Mayor?
We went through the hearing process and we decided on 60 at that, so 60 is what we should be sticking with, I think, until the improvements are done to that little zigzag, which you're looking in this financial year, I think, to do them, or next?
Depends on the funding availability, but we'll be endeavouring to try and get some sort of movement on it this financial year.
Of course, this is the result of the workshop. This is the final decision we make today. So, I mean, we're quite entitled to change it. Councillor Brahm?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've been there, we've drove around there, we had discussions there, and we came up to the 60. So I really on the same side as the mayor. If the thing is fixed, I think 80 is nice and great, but on the moment it's not a safe corner. And we're talking about safety here, not speed.
Of course, we have to realise that once we make this change, that's the change. We can't say next year, once the road's realigned, we're going to go back to 80. Once we set this in concrete, that is it, whether the road's realigned or not. Councillor Falloon.
Yeah, that was the question I was going to ask in actual fact. To me, why would you change from 80 when we know that the road is going to be realigned within the next 12 months, and I'd support the 80k.
Councillor Mackay.
Thank you for allowing me to ask a question because I'm not a member of the committee. You said this is the final decision today, Mr. Chair. So the motion I have in my agenda says recommendation to council. So why is it the final decision today?
No, you're correct. It's a final recommendation to the council. That's correct. Any further comment on any of the others? Or I'd like a show of hands on the Lauriston one. There's obviously, we've got two camps. Remember, it's only those members of this committee are vote to the recommendation before it goes to full council. Now, Councillor Brahm. Now, Councillor Rons, yes, you've finished?
No, I haven't started.
Oh.
Let me start. Now, I support the 60. I can see why people would want it at 80, but I think we have to bear in mind here, this is about not only speeds, it's road safety. And we've got a terrible crash rate at intersections in our district. And I think anything that we can do to help promote road safety has to be a good thing to be doing. So I do support keeping that at 60. I think people love to belt through places at 80 or 100, and wherever they go, everybody wants to be at full speed. But I think we do have to bear in mind road safety and the intersections on our district.
Councillor Brahm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question, did we have any submissions from that area regarding going to 60 Ks, or is it just something we made up? I can't remember that.
This was actually proposed to, when we were doing the realignment, we have consulted with the locals and they agreed that this needs to be 60.
Well, it looks as if the majority. We'll have a show of hands from the committee. Remember, it's only the committee can vote. Councillor Lovett, Brahm, Letham, Rollinson, the Mayor and myself. So all those in favour of staying at...
Question, Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
for clarification. Which road are we actually talking about? We're talking about Line Road?
That's right.
Line Road, and it's proposed to be either 80 or 60. Is that what we're talking about?
That's
okay.
Right.
Thank
right.
you.
So all from those who are on the committee that are in favour of 60, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those in favour of 80? 2. 60 will be the winner. So it'll stay. It'll be now 60. Any further comments or changes anybody wants to propose before we go back to the original motion? Councillor Falloon?
If I may ask a question.
Yes.
I still can't understand why you want to reduce the Maronan Road from the current speed limit. To me, that's ridiculous.
Mr. Firth or Martin, do you got a comment? One of you two got a comment?
Do you mean the bridge or do you mean... We had 2 fatals on that bridge, and also it's a single lane bridge, and yeah. So I think it's the safe and appropriate speed shouldn't be 100 going through a single lane bridge.
Councillor Mackay.
Thank you for allowing a non-committee member to ask a question, Mr. Chair. Most grateful. Could we please know the reason for? I don't wish to upset the families involved, but seeing that's been given as a reason the accidents, could we please have that reason for both accidents?
From memory, the most recent one, it's
I'll make it simple.
Yeah, sorry.
Was the reason given for the accident happening speed or something else? It's I don't wish to be hard on the families, but seeing the officers brought it up about speed, I want to know if speed was the actual cause of the accident.
Mr. Firth.
As far as we're aware, the answer is no.
Thank you.
Of course, anybody that tries to go across there at 100k is... Yes, yeah. Councillor Lovett.
I would support the 80k's purely because you've got a real S-bend round there and the trees on it and the camber of the road, and it's a 1-lane bridge, and you get the idiots out there. You really got to, you've got to slow down to see who's coming on the bridge and that. So for safety wise, I support the 80.
Councillor Brahm.
I'm the same, especially if I've been standing in the middle of the bridge with a car coming up fast from the other side. Give me the 80, and it was pretty close. And you can't go faster. Some tried, and that's the reason for standing in front of me.
Councillor Ronson.
And I support the 80. And looking at it from the eastern end, you've got a rise coming up to the bridge. You can't see what's on it till you're nearly there. And also we've got to remember we've got the Barford Road coming in to a T intersection right beside the bridge on the eastern side. So for those reasons, I support 80.
Mr. Mayor.
The school signs for outside schools. How many school signs will we have to install, or how many schools are there at the moment?
I'd like to get the part of the motion done, and once we get down to school signs, there's a whole new argument. So at this stage, I'd like to discuss the general speed limits on the maps that we've done. Once we get into the schools, because there was quite a change of development there. I'd like to recommend that we do the 4 parts separately, because if we do it all at once, we'll be discussing various types of variable speed signs outside schools, and we haven't really discussed them. I think if the committee were agreeable, would somebody like to move that we do it in four stages? Thanks, Councillor Ronson. Yep. Seconded. Councillor Brahm. Any discussion? If not, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, carried. 1A and B. We've had a discussion on that. Does somebody like to move? Councillor Ronson, move.
I'll move recommendations A and B.
Councillor Letham, seconded. Any discussion? We're discussing 1A, 1B. That's the speeds shown on the maps. All in favour? Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Just one question. When it gets, if this recommendation will get to council, and then council will decide what date will the speed limits come into force? How is that determined?
We don't know the exact date, but first of all, we have to have approval from council. Then it has to go to the, I think it's the Land Information New Zealand for gazettal. Once it's gazetted, that then makes the decisions that you've made legal, and at that point we would start to put signs up.
If not, all happy, all in favour of those 1A, 1B as written, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, carried. Number 2. Council develops school zones. At this stage, we're talking about the speeds, not the signs. 60 in rural areas and 40 in urban areas. Any questions? Councillor Lovett.
I haven't got any questions. I think it's great what we're doing, and I think the general public are going to be very pleased with this, and I absolutely support this. And if there's no questions, move the motion number 2.
Mr. Mayor? You've moved it, Councillor Lovett. The Mayor has seconded it. Any further discussion? If not, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Carried. Item 3. The council installs variable speed limit signs outside schools. We discussed this in a pre-agenda meeting. At the moment, majority of schools have a sign that says, it flashes, but it's got no speed limit. It just says school sign, school. And they can be switched on and off by the principals, but there's no actual limit. You said you see in your agenda to just put a single 60 or 40 is about 125,000. To put a sign with the speed limit fixed with the hours underneath it is 230,000. To put a flashing speed limit sign activated by the principal is 1.4 million. We asked management to see whether we could adapt number 2, which is a fixed sign underneath the flashing one that's already there, to make a combination. Did you, before we go to questions,
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Did Martin or Brian come up with an idea of what we can actually do or not do?
Oh, I haven't actually gotten the full budget for that hybrid of a sign, so I don't have a budget I can provide in this meeting, but it will definitely be significantly lower than what I've proposed for the active variable signs. It will be a challenge, but I believe we can. But I'll need to do a bit of tinkering around, but I think it's doable to put in a hybrid of putting a few fixed ones and putting a few active ones on certain roads. Since I believe Timbru have one similar for one of their schools on State Highway, one of their ones are active on State Highway, while the connecting roads into it, it's more of a static sign.
So what are you actually recommending as far as the cost? Brian?
We don't know the exact cost. It'll be quite substantially less than the 1.4 million for the variable signs, and we'd do a mixture depending on the circumstances of the particular road configuration at the school. To give you an example, if you look at the Long Beach school, the speed limit would have to be reduced on Winslow Willoughby Road, Long Beach Road and Boundary Road. Now, if you're coming from the south on Boundary Road, you're coming into a stop intersection. So we felt that a static 40k per hour, being in the rural area, 60k per hour sign at that point would be sufficient. Similarly, on the Winslow Willoughby Road, you're coming into an intersection where you want people to slow down, so we would have that at a permanent 60. On Long Beach Road, we would have a variable sign on both ends, and the same on the northern side, if you like, of Boundary Road coming towards the school. That would be a variable sign controlled by the school. And we're not quite sure yet whether we can do it as a combination of the school zone signs that are there and a permanent sign underneath indicating the times that it's likely to be flashing, but it would still be controlled by the school. So that's the type of situation that we're looking at.
Right. Questions, Councillor Lovett?
I was just going to say, How many schools have got the flashing signs that are there now? In my opinion, I'd actually like to see us keep those, reuse them and add some of this to them. But how many schools in the district have those flashing signs already? Because they are effective.
So we've got a total of 13 of those signs. I think it's about 5 or 6 rural schools have them.
Councillor Latham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm quite concerned that the active variable signs estimation is 1.4 million. It seems a tremendous amount of money, and me being slightly cynical, a lot of people won't take any notice whatever sort of sign you put up there. But could Mr. Firth just answer me, if he's quoted 1.4 million and then he says it will be considerably less, why is 1.4 million in the report?
The 1.4 million relates to a complete variable sign system at all schools. All right. What we're suggesting now is some sort of combination. This is after the meeting that we had during the week, but some sort of combination of permanent speed signs along with the variable signs that could be controlled by the school themselves. And we would try and work that combination depending on the circumstance of the road configuration at the schools.
Yes, what's happened, Councillor Latham, is the Chair and Deputy Chair of Infrastructure Services met with the officers a couple of days ago, and we said about the 1.4 and could a compromise be reached. So this is where we're getting the compromise today. Councillor Brahm?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is, or my thoughts are, either or, variable speed signs will only be on the rural schools, wouldn't it? You won't use them in town. And then only on the ones who are on the 100 k's or on the 80 k's. Like Mount Somers, for example, Mount Somers School is getting the 50 k speed limit there. Would you still use variable signs there as well?
As far as the urban schools are concerned, we would generally go with a permanent 40 k per hour outside of their schools.
If I can just what I want to know, like Mount Somers School, what is now a rural school, that's in town, so that gets the 40 k sign there, is it correct?
Mount Somers, the school was Springbourne Bushfield, I think, school, would be, it's currently in a rural environment. By bringing the speed limit down to 60 k's as we are, we're bringing it into an urban environment, and therefore outside the school it would be 40 k's per hour, permanently put in place.
So how many schools rural would get the variable signs? Yeah, we've got Leckmore. There's not too many schools really on 100 k's, is it?
Sorry, I think I should clarify this. So this 1.4 million is for all schools. All of them will be variable, so even including urban. And
yeah, that's the 1.4 million scenario.
Yes, okay.
Was completely variable signs outside of all schools.
Okay, yeah.
That's why we say it will be substantially less going the other way. And what we've got to work out is which schools would require the signage, which schools would be controlled by the principals, which one would be on permanent signs. We just haven't done that exercise at this stage.
Thank you.
What I would like to see is if we pass the recommendation, this committee, before it comes to full council, if you had time to do an audit of all schools and come up with a figure approximately, because obviously urban schools won't need flashing signs, so the figure would give us a more definite idea exactly where we're going. Mr. Mayor?
We use the term principals will control the sign. Is that principal as in the person is the principal, or they would delegate to someone else? Because I think they're a busy person. They wouldn't want to be flicking a sign off and on.
Basically what I'm saying is that the school would decide when the sign is to be on, but it should be in line, obviously, with whatever time we put on the sign itself.
Right, we're discussing number 3. Is the committee happy with the wording, the council installs variable speed limit signs outside schools? That's fairly definite. Mr. Councillor Brown.
Could they just put on that where needed? To make it easy.
Councillor Latham.
Are they flashing variable speed signs or static variable speed signs?
That's what we've been discussing. Like a Long Beach has got a flashing school zone.
Yes, I know.
And what we were talking about is possibly putting 60k sign underneath that and utilising the present flashing run.
I understand.
Yeah.
But the motion just says the council
Yes,
installs variable speed limit signs outside schools.
That's what I mean. It's pretty broad, isn't it? Yes.
It is a bit broad.
Yeah. Councillor Lovett?
I was just going to say, add into that, recycling and finding the best solution for that each school to bring back to us with a mixture of what's already there and what you can do. Just make it that broad that you come back to us kind of with each school what you're proposing, I guess.
I don't know how the secretary can quite get that into a motion.
Oh, just find some words.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor
Just
has
where
got
needed.
Mr. Mayor's got the solution. If you turn your
The council asked for a report on the installation of variable speed signs outside schools.
a seconder, Councillor Lovett seconded that. Any further discussion? Very well worded. All in favour, please say aye. Contrary carried. Number 4.
Just,
This
point-
is
point
the
of clar-
ARG Road.
Point of clarification here, is it the council that would ask for that report or this committee? This
The committee.
So,
Oh yes,
if it's
number
all right with
3.
If it's all right with this second, I'd like to change that word from council to this committee, the infrastructure
Yes,
committee.
yeah.
If the seconders approval of that.
Yeah, that was a. That's right. We're only a committee. That's right. Yes. Number 4. We're talking ARG Road past Mount Somers. Councillor Latham?
I think we've had a pretty good discussion about this, particularly going round there the other day, and I would agree with number 4, and I'd be happy to move that recommendation.
And I'll second it.
Councillor Ronson seconded it. Any further discussion? If not, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, carried. Thank you. That's next item. What's next, Neil? That's everything in open meeting.
You lost it.
Yeah, I think it is. Yes. That's the total agenda of open meeting. Would you like to move we go into committee?
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor
I'll
Ronson.
move that.
Seconder, Councillor Latham. Thank you, members of the press. All in